Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do something a little bit different. We are going to go through all of the products that I have hit pan on. Some of these, most of these are pan from doing my project pan, of course. I have one that's like kind of a cheat, but I see pan, so I'm counting it. I mainly wanted to do this video because I've been project panning for quite a while now, almost a full 2 years, and from project panning I have learned a lot. I've learned a lot about how many products I can like feasibly use up, how long it takes up to use some products. I kind of get into these ruts where I'm not making a ton of progress and I'm not seeing any visible progress, and that's kind of not disheartening but a little bit discouraging. And I figured that going through all the products that I have hit pan on would kind of encourage me to keep going. Specifically this month, the December project pan update, I'll have it linked in the eye if you are interested. It was a pretty boring update in my opinion. There wasn't a ton of progress in any of the products that I have in my project pan, and I figured this would be a good way to just motivate myself again. So I have 8 products here that I have hit pan on. Like I said, most of these were panned through my project pan series, and there are a bunch of products that I have finished up through my project pan series that aren't pannable necessarily, so I didn't include those, but we're going to talk through all of the items that I have hit pan on. If you're new here, hi, my name is Vivian. I'm a robotics engineer with a love for all things beauty and makeup related, and I love trying new makeup, but I really want to make sure I have a curated collection, that I'm getting usage out of all the products in my collection. So if that sounds interesting to you, be sure to like and subscribe if you aren't already, and let's hop into it. So I have a few items in most of the categories that are pannable. Let's start with bronzers first. This category is the highest number of pans that I have. So the first item that I panned is actually this one from Tower 28. This is the Bronzino in the shade West Coast. I did have this in my project pan. My goal was to just hit pan on it, but I honestly ended up loving this product so much that I worked this pan until it was quite large actually. This product is actually so good if you love a glowy bronzer. That's not everyone's cup of tea, I understand that, but for me in the summertime especially, I love this. I think it looks so stunning. It makes me look so like glowy and lit from within. I really like the undertone of this as well. When I first got it, I thought it was a little bit too red, but the more that I used it, the more that I fell in love with it. This is in the shade West Coast, if I didn't say that already. I just think it's so good. I love the way it blends out. Tower 28 also has a more contoury version of this that doesn't have shimmer in it, the Sculptino, and I do have that and I do like that as well. Pretty much the exact same formula, but not shimmery and a little bit of cooler undertones. I love their blush formula as well. Tower 28 just does a really good job with their products. I just love all of the products I've tried pretty much from them. Back to this bronzer though, I think it's stunning. I love this in the summertime. It's one of my most reached for in the summer. Tower 28 also isn't super expensive, so if you don't like the shimmeriness of this bronzer, definitely check out the Sculptino. I think the formula is amazing. It is emollient, but it's not too emollient where it feels like it's gonna slip off your face. It does have a decent amount of staying power to it. Just overall, such a good bronzer. You can see how large the pan on this actually is. A lot of these other items, the pan is quite small because in my project pan, my goal was to just hit pan and then I would roll in a different product. This is a product that I kept in there for a longer amount of time just because I was enjoying using it so much. The next bronzer that I hit pan on is from e.l.f. This is the e.l.f. Putty bronzer. I have mine in the shade, I believe it's Honey Drip. This pan is much smaller, but you can see that it's quite deep in there. There is quite a bit of product in these putty bronzers. I think this formula was okay. I liked it enough. I liked it enough to hit pan on it. I don't think it's anything that you need to like run out and get, but I had it. I wanted to make sure I got some use out of it. I still feel like this is a lot of product that I could work my way through. I also have the putty blush that I don't use as much, but this was a good product. It was only $6. I don't know if they're still only $6. They might be a little bit more expensive now, but it does the job. It's a good enough bronzer. It's not super pigmented. It's a putty formula, so it feels more dry in the pan, and when you blend it out, it does feel a little bit powdery. I think it's perfectly fine. I'm not as excited as with this pan as I am with some of the other ones though, so let's keep going. If you guys are new to panning, you guys know powders in general just take a much longer time to pan. So the last bronzer that I have actually hit pan on is my e.l.f. Primer-Infused Bronzer. I believe this is in the shade Forever Sunkissed. You can see there's just a little baby pan, nothing majorly like revolutionary, but that is a pan. I did work really hard on this for a really long time in my project pan. You can see that well, maybe you can't see, but you can kind of see that the ring around here is quite prevalent, so this whole middle section is quite thin. I feel like if I were to use this a little bit more, I would expand that pan relatively quickly. I think this is a perfectly good bronzer. On me, this shade is a little bit light, so when I do use this, it's a very subtle bronze effect. For me, I don't mind that whatsoever. Sometimes I do just want like a little bit of bronziness. I am pretty tan, just like in general, so I never feel the need to like fully bronze my face, but this formula is super good. It lasts a really long time. I love to use this with just a really big fluffy brush and just kind of put it everywhere, honestly, especially because it is just lighter on me and it's not super pigmented in general. So for me, I feel like just a big fluffy brush is the way to go. I don't have to be careful using this, and I really like it. This is also only around $6, so you really can't go wrong. e.l.f. has some really great products if you are on a budget. I think it's a really good bronzer. Let's move on to something else. This is actually the e.l.f. Bite Size Quad in the Cream and Sugar variant. e.l.f. has a ton of these quads, and you can see here that this last shade is completely gone. Not because I used it, but because I dropped it and it completely fell out of the pan. Even now, I pulled this out to like show you guys, and the rest of the pieces kind of crumbled out and came out this like little crack. So I have eyeshadow all over my pants. I have it all over my hands from trying to clean it up. Basically, this shade technically fell out, technically not a pan, but I see pan, so I am counting it. Besides this, I have not hit pan in any of my eyeshadow palettes. If you guys have been here for a while, you guys know that I'm not a huge eyeshadow person in general. I feel like I much prefer like one and done eyeshadows or like just like a glitter topper. I don't reach for palettes specifically very often. My eyeshadow usage is just not as high as my single shadows. You guys know, or maybe you don't know, but if you guys are new, I do have a no palette left behind challenge where I am trying to use all of the eyeshadow palettes in my collection at least 5 times. I've been doing that all year. I haven't made a lot of progress on some of my palettes, so I will be doing an update for that at the end of the year this year, so stay tuned for that. But these quads are really nice. They're only $3. You get 4 different shades, but they have a ton of different variants. The mattes blend out easily. They're a little bit powdery, but it's a $3 eyeshadow. I think they're really good for the price, and there are just so many shades. You really can't go wrong with them. I just realized that was 3 e.l.f. products in a row. I have more brands, don't worry. Let's talk about powders next. So I have hit pan in 2 of my powders. The first one is my Kosas Cloud Set. I have mine in the shade Cushiony. You can see that my packaging is absolutely just destroyed. You can see that the pan in this is relatively large. If you watch my Project Pan series, you guys know that this is technically kind of a cheat too, but I'm counting it because this was in my Project Pan for so long. It honestly felt like I was trying to pan this for like a year and was just making zero progress with it. Because the packaging broke, when I went to go open this, I accidentally dropped it and a massive chunk of it broke off and it fell like behind the toilet when I was getting ready. So didn't keep it. Did hit pan on it though from it breaking off. Honestly though, I'm not mad about it. I like this powder a lot. I don't think it's my absolute favorite powder anymore. It definitely used to be, but I think just from me trying to pan it for so long and not seeing any progress with it, it made me not want to use it anymore, and so I'm just not in love with it anymore. Besides that though, there still is a massive pan, so I am counting it as a product that I've hit pan on. It is a little bit annoying with the packaging though, so I don't really use this maybe as often as I should anymore. I just think that for a powder that's like $38-ish, you would maybe expect a little bit nicer packaging and that the component wouldn't break. Either way, this powder is beloved by a lot of people. It is super lightweight, especially if you have dry skin, but it doesn't mattify, so you can still see some glow coming through, which is why a lot of people ended up liking the powder because it's so lightweight. For me, I liked this a lot at the beginning. As my skin started getting more oily, this just wasn't doing enough for me. I was also getting hard pan on this from like dipping back in with my brush after applying to my face, which was slightly more annoying for me as well. So I used to love this powder. I've definitely fallen out of love with this powder, but it's still a good powder. I know a lot of people still use and love this powder with like all their heart. It's their holy grail. It's just not mine anymore. This next powder is from LYS. This is the Triple Fix Translucent Setting Powder. You can see I have quite a big pan in this as well. I think this is a great, versatile, just all-around powder. It sets, it does a good job of mattifying, it doesn't look cakey. There are different colorways. I have just the translucent one. I liked this a lot. I think it's a really good powder. The one thing that I don't like about this is the packaging. Just the triangle-ness of it makes it really hard to store, but besides that, I think this is a great powder. It's not super expensive either. I believe it's around the $20 price point at Sephora. Yeah, I think it's a good powder. I highly recommend this. It is just a good powder if you want a little bit of everything. Like, it's not super mattifying, but it is still gonna set, but it's not gonna look cakey on you either. I think it's just a good all-around powder. The next item I have here is actually currently in my project pan. This is the Lilah B Divine Duo Lip and Cheek in the shade Be Dazzling, but my goal in my project pan right now is to completely use this up. I do think I still have quite a long way to go, but the pan is quite large. I'm feeling pretty confident that I can finish this and I'm not gonna get sick of it. Lilah B is no longer a brand, so you can't really get your hands on this anymore. I don't honestly love this highlighter. I feel like it can be a little bit glittery and a little bit just thick in general. For a little bit there, I was using it on my eyelids as like just a little highlighter topper, eyeshadow topper type of moment, but I found that it was clogging up the pores on my eyelids, so I stopped doing that. If you have super sensitive skin, this might not be the product for you anyway, but I mean, Lilah B is no longer a brand, so I guess it doesn't really matter. The packaging itself though is beautiful. It's nice and weighty. It has this really fun twisty lid that I find myself playing with a lot. But yeah, the highlighter itself is just okay. I don't think it's anything revolutionary. I did get it for like a massive steal because Lilah B was going out of business, plus it was the Sephora sale at the time, so I think I got this for like, I want to say around like $15. Not my favorite, would not recommend it honestly, but I have it and I do want to make sure I get some use out of it. So hopefully soon you'll see more progress in this in my project pan, and eventually I hope to be able to fully use this up. And the last item I have is actually a blush. It is a cream blush. If you guys know me at all, blush is probably one of my biggest categories in terms of my makeup collection. I have a lot of blushes. I have a lot of different formulas. I love blush. So for me, it's really hard to actually hit pan on any of these blushes, especially the powder ones. This one from Rose Inc was actually in my project pan. I believe this was the first item I had in my project pan. This is in the shade Ophelia. It's this really pretty, just pink tone in general. You can see the pan is just like a little sliver, and you don't see a lot of pan, but I think this is a beautiful blush. I do have two shades of this, so I have the shades Ophelia and Foxglove. When I put this in my project pan, I didn't really think I needed two shades of it, which is why this one went into my project pan to begin with. I liked this a lot. The formula is really thick. It's much thicker than a lot of cream blushes, and because of that I feel like the staying power it has is much longer than a lot of the other cream blushes. It still blends out really easily. It's still emollient enough that you can blend it out and it's not going to be patchy or anything like that. It is also quite pigmented, so it's not going to fade after like a tiny bit of time. I did really like this. I enjoyed using it. I enjoyed having it in my project pan. I just have so many blushes that I think that I just need to work through some a little bit more. I do really like this. The packaging of this is so funny to me. It definitely looks like a toilet bowl. I can never unsee that. I do like the fact that these are actually refillable, so if you finish the blush or you don't want the component itself, you can buy the refill for a little bit of a discount, and you can just pop out this blush and put another one in, or this pan and put another one in. I doubt I'll ever be at a point where I can pop out a pan, but I did really like this blush. I think it's really nice. Rose Inc is a clean beauty brand as well, so I have noticed sometimes that there's a little bit of like oil separating from it. It still performs fine as far as I know right now, so I'm not too concerned about it, but if you do have a large collection like I do, just be aware that clean beauty especially expires pretty quickly. This is still looking okay though, so I'm not too concerned. And that is everything that I have hit pan on. I know most of the makeup items that I finish up are part of my Project Pan series. I know I finished up a couple of different lip products. I know I finished up a couple of different eyebrow products like brow pencils. So still have a long way to go. I still have quite a few items in my collection that I probably don't need to have, but I do try to make a conscious effort to not be over consuming a ton and to make sure that all of my items in my project pan are getting a good use out of them. I try to cycle through them as well with my Shop My Stash, so every month I'll pick out a new basket of products to try and focus on outside of my project pan items. I hope this was interesting. I hope that if you guys are also in a project pan rut like I am, that maybe just look back at all the products that you've actually hit pan on or finished. It's very satisfying. It's very, very satisfying to see all the products that you've actually made progress on. I personally definitely needed to make this video just for myself, because this project pan, with the amount of items that I have in my project pan right now and with where I'm at regarding like meeting my goal on a lot of these items, I just needed a little bit of a boost to help me like keep working on them. So I enjoyed this video. Maybe I'll do this like every year, just a little look back. Hopefully in the next year I'll be able to hit some pan on some more items. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe if you aren't already. I hope this was a fun one. I think it's kind of fun. Happy December. I hope you guys are gearing up for the holiday season. Right now I live in Michigan. Right now it is not snowing yet, and I want it to be just to have the vibes, just to have the cozy vibes. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.